Hi everybody, it's DonCrowther and welcome to today's webinar, how to get more traffic to your content, whether that's blog, a website, social media, one of your offers. That's what we're focusing on here, is the secrets to getting that traffic to come and buy from you. Let me just introduce myself really quickly for those of you who may not know me. This is me, DonCrowther. I have been told that I am taller than I sound. People will come up to me and go, "You don't sound that tall." And I think, well, how does short sound? I'm not quite sure. So I am 6'4" and I'm a little bit tall. I have an undergraduate degree in marketing from Brigham Young University, and I have a master's in business administration, an MBA, from the Darden School at the University of Virginia. From there, I went and I worked at Kimberly-Clark and ConAgra Frozen Foods and SC Johnson, running many of the brands that you find in your grocery stores, in your Walmarts and Shopkos and those kinds of things, spending $100 million budgets. And so I learned the foundation of marketing from some of the best marketing pros in the world. And then 20 years ago, I decided to leave corporate America and start my own company. And so now what I am doing is, my mission and my job is to help you build your business. I focus specifically on online and the skills and the techniques that you need to know and do to build your business online. But more importantly than all of this stuff is, I'm a dad and a husband. And this is my wonderful family minus one person, and we enjoy tremendously being together and having fun together. And unfortunately, they all live like 1,500 to 2,000 miles away, and so I seem to end up putting a lot of hours on airplanes so that I can spend some time with my family. But these are the loves of my life, and I am always thrilled to be with them. So 20 years ago, as I said, I went out on my own, start my own company. Now, during that period of time, I've had mixed results. We had several years right at the beginning we called the hungry years in my family, because we were just getting going. We were trying to figure out how to make it all work. We were trying to figure out to get the clientele, to get the income, and we didn't eat a lot for those 3 years. And then I sort of got into a role and things started changing, but they were never really achieving what my dreams were, and I certainly wasn't achieving the income levels that I was getting before. And so eventually what we ended up doing is I ended up making 3 major changes in my life. And number 1 and number 2 are things that I definitely will tell you about at some point in the future, but not today. But number 3 is one of the most important ones, and it's very relevant to our conversation today, and that is I began blogging. And in fact, actually, when I began blogging, it wasn't even called blogging yet. It was called weblog. And there wasn't even a word for what you did with a weblog. But I started early in the days. We used movable type, and WordPress hadn't even been figured out yet, and all those things. But I discovered very quickly the power of this amazing tool, and I could see that as more and more sharing and commenting started happening, that it became a very powerful piece. And then as social media came into vogue, what ended up happening is blogging has now become one of the leading means of building your business online. And one of the main reasons why is because when you blog properly, you get to use social media to send people to your blog. And so your audience becomes your marketing force, and that's what becomes incredibly powerful. So over the last number of years, myself and my team have written and published over 70,000 blog posts. That's a lot of blog posts. We have 18 different blogs that get updated every single day. Bunch of different categories, bunch of different areas, and so I believe that I am entitled to be able to call myself an expert in the blogging area and to be able to teach you some of the strategies that I've discovered over 70,000 blog posts and tons of traffic, and all watching the things go up and down and everything. I've discovered a number of techniques that I'm going to be sharing with you today. And so today's webinar is for you so you know you're in the right place watching this webinar if you need more sales. It's for you if you need more customers. And if you need to have consistent cash flow. So one of the biggest problems in small business is that we tend to get irregular cash flow schemes. So we'll get a client and it pays us a bunch of money, and so we go, great, and so we go spend and everything, but then for the next 2 months we don't make any significant amount of money. And so then it's like, how am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? And then we get another big hunk of money, and unfortunately, even though that's the way many small businesses operate, that's not a very comfortable way to run business. Spouses are particularly concerned when they see that the money isn't coming in, and they understand that they need more to be able to pay the bills for the family. And so some of the things we're going to be talking about today are going to help you get that consistent cash flow, also help you get better leverage. And when I say leverage, I mean being able to work once and sell it for a long time, to be able to put in an hour's worth of labor and have it be worth 10 hours worth of labor in a normal situation. It's leveraging and making it so everything you do has a bigger impact than you would normally have. And a blog is perfect for that, especially with some of the techniques I'll be showing you today. It's for you if you want to be running a real business. And most importantly, this is for you if you want to be able to do more with your life than just work. If you have dreams of serving, of enjoying your loved ones more, of being able to have an impact on the world, then this particular webinar is for you. Specifically, today we're going to cover 8 separate keys to traffic. I'm going to show you 8 things that we discovered in a recent study that we ran that will show you amazingly powerful keys to getting huge amounts of traffic. I'm going to show you one element that almost nobody uses that 10x's to 100x's the traffic of people who use it. Stay tuned. I'm going to show you that. It's really exciting when you watch what happens. I'm going to show you 4 different headline techniques that you should be using when you write the titles to your blog posts. And I'm going to show you 2 ways that you can learn more about what I am talking about. So I'm going to make a commitment with you that I'm going to teach you as much as I can in the limited amount of time we have together. And then before I conclude, I promise you that I'm going to show you how to get more and how to take this exciting information that I'm going to be showing you and take it even further. And as you take it further, you'll be able to build systems. So this is very important. One of the things that happens in big businesses versus small businesses is that big businesses oftentimes get that way because they build systems. So what is McDonald's? It's not a place where you can get fries with that. McDonald's is a set of systems that allows them to pull any teenage employee off the street and be able to teach them in a matter of a few hours how to make fries, how to flip burgers, how to serve the customer. They've got systems that allow them to put a cup and press a button and walk away and come back and pick up the cup afterwards. Those systems are what makes McDonald's McDonald's. It's what makes Pfizer Pfizer. What makes Procter & Gamble Procter & Gamble is they have systems that work. And my recommendation for you is that one of your main purposes in building your business is building systems. And so I'm going to be showing you today a series of things that you can systematize and showing you 4 specific systems you need to have operating in your blog to be able to build your business from where you are to where you want to be. So These things enable you to build systems that generate huge amounts of traffic to your blog, that generate sales, and do it all with a minimum amount of time and expenditure so that you are free to be able to give back more to the world. So let me tell you where all of this came from. Everything that I'm going to be showing you today came from a project that I started a while ago. Basically, I was realizing that in all my blogs, these 18 different blogs that are being updated, the worst performing of that group was my online marketing blog. And I said, okay, so I need to work on that. And so I said, all right, I believe in leveraging. So I can spend X minutes, let's say 30 minutes writing a blog post that ends up getting five visitors per day. So I can go take one of the long tail concepts that a few people search on every day and find something that will get 5 visitors a week, let's say. And I can write that, and it'll take me 30 minutes to write that. Or I can find something that people really want to know about and want to share with their friends, and spend 30 minutes and write that. So instead of getting 5 visitors a week, I can get 500, but that's not really my goal. My goal is not 500, it's 500,000 visitors a week. Same 30 minutes going in, but the concept of leverage is by choosing the correct topics and using the correct systems. Instead of getting 5 visitors a week, I can be getting 500 or 50,000 or 500,000 visitors a week. Same half hour. And so that project, what I decided to do is I wanted to identify very specifically what content is the hottest in the internet marketing niche right now. Now, let's say you work in the fitness niche, and so as you do this project, you're going to want to find out what content is the hottest in the fitness niche right now. Or if you're working the relationships niche, what is the hottest relationship-oriented content? Or if you run an e-commerce site, what is the hottest thing in my particular niche of mountain climbing gear? Or whatever it is, that is the thing you want to be writing your post about. So that when I spend the time writing about that content, I can get that leverage. So what I wanted to do was identify the hottest content, so that's the content that I'm writing about in my online marketing blog. So what I did, and I'm just going to show you the methodology of this so that you understand as you want to do studies like this of your own. What I did is I went out and identified the top blogs in their internet marketing niche. I identified about 60 of them. Then what I did was that I put a prerequisite to be able to qualify as one of the top blogs. And I said that they had to, everyone that went into this study in the end had to have at least 30 posts that had each been shared over 250 times in the first 6 months of 2014. So if they had 29 posts that have been shared 300 times, and then their 30th one in ranking was shared 249 times, it didn't qualify. They had to have at least 30 posts that have been shared over 250 times. So of those 50, 60 blogs, only 21 of them qualified in this equation of having that many posts that have been seen and shared that many times. So 21 blogs became the basis of this. And what I did is that I then took those top 30 posts from those top 21 blogs and I analyzed them in depth. Literally, I looked at every single one of those posts. And I had a spreadsheet where I marked 55 different criteria whether that blog post had achieved them. So as you can imagine, this took some time and some effort to go through that process and do it. And then in addition to that, I had my computer through automation go and analyze over 10,000 additional top-ranked posts to get additional information that didn't require a human looking at the particular page. So this took a couple of weeks of full-time work to be able to do this. And it was a big project with a lot of work. And so what I want to do now is that what I discovered is a number of key learnings that are incredibly valuable that apply not just to the internet marketing space, but any other space that you might be blogging in. And so that's the purpose of this blog, is for me to communicate those learnings with you. Now, I'm going to give you several caveats before I report those. The first one is, you've heard some of these things before. I don't have a problem with that, because my job, as I said, is to build your business. I know at least 100 things that I should be doing that I, for whatever reason, either laziness, or I haven't figured out how to do it yet, or busyness, or I just haven't prioritized that high enough, whatever, I'm not doing. But every once in a while, I'll see some data that says, hey, Don, you really ought to be working on this more than something else you're doing. And so then I take one of those 100 things and start working on those. That's part of what I'm going to be doing here, is I'm going to be showing you. So some of these things you've heard before, but that's okay. Hopefully the additional importance from what you hear today will help you to prioritize those at a higher level. So therefore, I'm hoping it will help you focus more on those and prioritize them higher in your life. Also, from a statistical standpoint, I have some statistician, market researcher in me, and I have to report to you that this is a correlation study. So what I did is I went through those 630 posts, and I looked at these 55 criteria, how many of them had those 55 criteria. What I didn't do was go take a bunch of posts that hadn't been shared very frequently and analyze those comparative to the top posts. So what I am able to tell you here is that of those top posts, X percentage of them had this in common. What I can't tell you is, and bottom posts don't have that. So just realize this is a correlation study in that process. I just have to do that, get the statistician out of me. Okay, so let's get started in showing you those key areas. Number one, use posts to instruct, not to entertain, not to tell a story. Use your posts to teach people things. So let me show you a graph. So this says, of those top posts, what percentage of them ended up getting classified in each of these different areas. Now realize these will total to more than 100, because some of these posts can qualify as a couple of different areas. But as I looked at them, I classified them into one of these 6 different areas, and this gives a pretty good indication as to what we should be writing on. So we'll start at the bottom. Non-instructional. So that is someone showing the dinner they had last night, or reporting that they're going out to dinner today with such and such a big shot, or showing a picture of an airplane and said leaving for Vegas for such and such a conference. All of those non-instructional kinds of things, the entertainment, hey, I'm not feeling very well and going to bed tonight, those kinds of things, not one of the top posts was non-instructional. That right there is a key learning. Not one of the top posts was useless in terms of the content that it was giving. Every one of the top 630 posts gave some kind of information that helped people to build their lives, their businesses, or achieve the objectives of their particular blog. That's a really important thing. I want you to write that down, is to make sure that you're not posting stuff that isn't valuable. All right, next is news. So news might be Google just came out with another version of Panda. The iPhone number blank just released. Here's an announcement from such and such a company. Those were less than 5% of all of the posts were news oriented. which is very interesting because there are a number of people who are teaching about blogging right now who are teaching one of the things you should be doing is putting out news on a regular basis. Well, guess what? It might give you a lot of posts, but those news posts don't get shared. Those news posts are not considered to be something that people want their friends to know about. Third one up from the bottom is examples. So this is, hey, here's this principle and here's an example of how I applied it. Here are 3 videos that show you how to that demonstrate this. Here's a case study of someone who did this and what came out of it. And so basically it's application of other principles. That was about 8% of all those top posts were examples. Next, up from the bottom, is resources. So from a resources standpoint, it might be the 10 tools that I use in blogging, the 5 exercise machines that I have in my home gym, the 14 pieces of software that I recommend to put words on pictures, whatever those are. It's resources. That was about 10% of all of them. So if you notice, the ones at the bottom total about 20-25%. Now we get into the 2 big hitters. How-to. 40.3% of all the top posts were a how-to post which said, here's how you do something, step 1 do this, step 2 do that, step 3 do this, or here's the programming that you need to put in place to have your blog do such and such a thing. Whatever that is, it teaches how to. I differentiated that from an explanation, meaning a how-to showed you how to do it. An explanation was oftentimes, hey, here's an important concept you need to understand about attribution, and here's how you do that. Well, here's how you do it. Here's what attribution is, what it means to you. So sometimes the line got blurry between explanation and how-to, but the core is this. 98% of all of the top most frequently shared posts were explanation or how-to. That again is another key learning, is what you ought to be posting about. If you want your blog to be shared and become incredibly popular, and remember, every time your blog post gets shared to someone's social media, their people then see your blog post, they come to your blog post, they read it, and they're more likely to share it with their people. And so you get this virality happening that the only way it can happen is to get people to share it in the first place. And so you want to be writing content that people want to share in that first place. So the key lesson that I get out of all this is that people want solutions. And the more you can instruct them, the more loyal they become towards you. So the more they share your stuff, the more they come back, and most importantly, the more they buy stuff from you. And isn't that exactly what we want to have happen? After all, we're not blogging, at least as business people, we're not blogging for the fun of it. We're blogging to build our business. And when you give people information that helps them achieve their objectives, they become more loyal to you, and that helps you achieve your objectives. Back to Zig Ziglar, the late Zig Ziglar, who said, and I'm going to paraphrase this very badly, you can get everything you want in life if you give other people what they want in life. That's what we're doing here. Give them instructions so they can get there. So let me just give you examples. Here are 4 of the top posts in that 630 list. Here are 4 of those from the internet marketing area. 50 tweetable Twitter tips you wish you knew years ago. Every time I say that, I feel like saying 50 tweetable Twitter tips. 50 tweetable Twitter tips you wish you knew years ago. How about this one? 5 social media trends for 2014. New research. So the first one is clearly an explanation post. The second one is also an explanation post. Third one, 6 simple photo tools for creating social media visuals. That's a resource one. And 18 ways to improve your Facebook news feed performance is probably a how-to post. So these examples all show that these are instructional posts to help people achieve their objectives. Any comments, questions? Feel free to ask them as we go along. I'm not just wanting to preach at you. I'm hoping we can have a conversation as we go along here too. All right. Let's go along and look at the number 2 tip that I want to make sure you understand if you want to be able to get more traffic to your blog. And that is post infographics. So post infographics. Now, what's an infographic? An infographic is something where it's a graphic with information communicated via pictures as opposed to just words. You see them all the time. Let me just show you a great way. If you want to get ideas for infographics, just go to Pinterest.com, and then when you get there, do a search on the term infographic. It really helps if you spell it correctly. And when you search on infographic, what you're going to get is hundreds of different infographics. So you've all seen infographics. You know what they look like. And my point is you should be producing them regularly. Now, infographics tend to be big and complex, but one of the things I'm going to show you is they don't have to be. They can be fairly simple. This is a fairly simple one with just a few facts in it. Here's one that doesn't even have any words. It's how to create this, step by step through the process, how to create this particular thing. As you continue down, there's many. So here's one. That's all it is. Okay? So there's many different tools out there. I'm going to talk to you more about that. But here's the key, is infographics get significantly higher pickup in terms of top posts. So let's review this. So what this is saying is that 22.5% of all of these 630 different blog posts that came up at the top, 22.5% of them included an infographic. Now, I don't know what percentage of other blog posts include an infographic, but my best guess is that it's less than 1%. And so let's just be generous, and we'll call it 1%. So 1 in 100 blog posts contains an infographic. But if you look at the most frequently shared, 22.5 out of every 100 posts include an infographic. That's a pretty good indication that we should be using infographics on a regular basis. Now, I know that what's going through your mind right now is some of you are saying, but Don, infographics are hard, and I don't have the tools, I don't have the skills to do that. And I say, yeah, they sort of are, but you know what? An infographic doesn't have to be hard. And I'm going to show you in just a moment some keys to making that. So basically, remember, an infographic is a picture. Basically, it's information communicated through a picture. So it can be a single graph. It can be something that says 14 out of every 23 people who have bright blue skin use Dawn. Whatever it is, I don't know, but it's simply a graphic. Now, there are a number of tools that you can use to do this. But here's the other important thing, and you can also hire out other people to do it too. But I want to show you something. So of these 22.5% of posts in that top list that contain an infographic, what percentage of them were actually created by the blogger? Only half of those infographics were actually created by the person who wrote the post. In the vast majority, in half of the cases, sorry, not vast majority, in half those cases, that infographic was created by somebody else. So here's the key. Nothing says that the infographic you post in your blog post has to be your own. It can be someone else's as long as you get their permission to use that. So let me just describe for you for a moment how I go about this process of doing this. Because if you go and you look at my blogs, I have a very large number of infographics that I created that are out there. They're out there, and if you go to Google and you search for that infographic, my site is the one that comes up first, above the site that actually created it. And so what's ending up happening is my site is ranking higher for their infographic than their site is. So you can do that exact same thing, and you also want to make sure you get permission to be able to do that. But once you have that permission, it can do amazing things for you. So here's what I do. As I go around and I look at the web and I see an infographic that my audience would like, I do two things. The first thing I do is that I go and I look for what is called an embed code. And let's just see if I can find an embed code for you very quickly here. Okay, so I am just going to go look at these things real quick, and so let's look at this one right here. So how are we using social media? I'm just going to look at this, and so the first thing to do is to go find the original source for the infographic, and I'm going to use a different example. Okay, so this is from Lifehacker, and so what they're doing is they're saying this is from such and such a site, so this is Worldwide Cell Phone. So there we go. So I'm on Life Made Simplest. So now I'm hopefully going to find the original publisher of this. So sometimes the hardest part is finding the original publisher. But as I go down at the bottom of this, oh great, one more time. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to describe it. Oftentimes at the bottom of an infographic, you will find what is called an embed code. An embed code basically gives you permission to copy and paste that code and place it, and which then puts that image on your site. They're giving you permission to embed their infographic on your site. So what I do is I go and I grab that embed code and I put it on my site, so now I have that infographic there. But then what I do is I take a screenshot of that particular section with the infographic, and then I say, okay, I copy that and I put it in my files to say, okay, at the time I published this, they gave me permission to publish this to my blog. If I cannot find an embed code, what I do then is I send an email to them that says, hey, I loved your infographic. My audience would be interested in this. Would you mind giving me permission to share this on my blog? And then usually within a few minutes, I get an email back saying, sure, would love to have you do that. And then I simply share it with my blog. And I also screenshot that email and put it in my files so that I've got it in case anyone ever comes back and says, oh, no, you should have done that. And so now I have permission to do that, and you can embed that freely on your blog once you have that permission. And so I get that permission, I embed it, and so consequently, I have permission, it's verified, and I am able to then work with that and include it on my blog. Recognize also that infographics don't have to be long and complicated. This right here is an infographic. It shows, hey, the perfect pin size is 736 pixels wide by 1,128 pixels high. That entire thing right there is an infographic. It's just not big and fancy. Here's one that's a little less big and fancy than some of the others, but it's very simple. This thing, you could do either one of these on PowerPoint in a matter of about 15 minutes. So it's a headline, it's got a little round circle with some words in it, and it's got a screenshot. A little round circle with some words in it and another screenshot. You could do this very easily in 15 minutes, literally in PowerPoint or Keynote, without having to go out and buy any more programs to do this. So I want to stress here, you don't have to go get $500, $1,500 programs to do this. You can literally make them in PowerPoint. And I'm going to show you a way a little bit later on in this webinar that you can make them with PowerPoint. All right. Any questions about these two first things, about infographics and about the types of posts that you should be putting on your blog? Steve, answering your question, what tools did I use to get the data for this study? I went through it, my eyes on a screen, recording things in Excel, and made a giant database to be able to do this, because many of these things required eyes on the screen to be able to do it. All right, let's go on to number 3, which is start your post with an image. So here's your blog. You've got a headline, you've got a header up at the top with your logo or whatever. You've got a nav bar down the right-hand side. And then you have your headline, and then immediately below that, you put an image. So here's the way this got quantified. It's called above the fold. So in the world of newspapers, above the fold means things that show up before someone unfolds that newspaper down. In the web, we call it above the fold, means before someone scrolls down. And so the percentage of blog posts that were in this 630 at the top that had an image above the fold, so right at the top of their blog post, was 87.1%. 87.1%. Basically, one of the blogs didn't have images above the fold. Everybody else had them, and that contributed highly to their being at the top. Of those 87%, 48.3% of them were large images, which I defined as stretching the entire width of the main content area. And then 38% of them had a smaller image. Key learning from this is have an image that applies to your blog post that's above the fold and make it a large image. Now, why do images work? Why are they so powerful? Well, the first thing is the images add emotional aspects to that post. So this particular image doesn't do that, but if you've got a picture of a mother hugging her child, you instantly create a piece of emotion that happens unconsciously and immediately to that person who is your reader. They immediately are feeling a different way around that post than they would have if it would have just been a newspaper kind of post. So newspaper kind of posts to me are a post with no picture, just a headline, words. Hard to read. Maybe there's a reason why newspapers are dying on the vine and magazines are not dying on the vine quite as fast, because a magazine post has pictures integrated into it, and the pictures are actually mean something. So they convey instant information. So this one, how to create awesome Pinterest content, immediately says this is what this blog post is about. And so if you're interested in creating awesome Pinterest content, you're going to read that post. And it brings in that magazine feel that I just described. In fact, more pictures do an even better job for that, which brings up our 4th post learning, which is include multiple images. So, percentage of posts that include more than one image in the body of these top posts. 85% of those top posts had more than one image in the body. So let me just ask you, this is class participation time. If you would type in the comments box, tell me what percentage of your posts typically include more than one image in the body. Now this doesn't count your header and your picture view on the side and everything. This is actually in the body of the post. So I'm seeing 0, 5%. I do have, Laura came in at 99%. Congratulations, well done. 5%, none, always 2. So the vast majority of us are, you have, almost none of them have more than one picture in that blog post. Well, this learning right here, where it says that 85% of them have more than one, is a pretty clear indication that we ought to be doing that. When you go look at the cooking blogs, what you'll find is the fashion now is to don't just show a recipe in a really pretty picture of that food. It is take each step of cooking the food and have a picture with that. So if you put two cups of flour in a bowl, you show a bowl with 2 cups of flour in it. And then a teaspoon of baking soda, you show a teaspoon of baking soda over the bowl. And so there, and what's happening is that has become much more popular, and those are much more, they get a lot higher readership and sharership of those kinds of posts. I strongly suggest you be doing that too. Now, a logical question that's being asked here is, how many posts should I put in a post? All right, I looked at that one too. So the average number was 8. On average, those top posts had 8. But here's the challenge. The high was 72. So there was one post that had 72 different pictures. I'm not going to recommend that you put 72 pictures in it. Now, remember back to your statistics when you learned about averages, means versus modes. Okay, the mean is you take them all, you add them all up, you divide by the number of posts, and it gives you on average 8. That's a mean. A mode is if you took the one with the most, 72, and the second one at 65, and the third one at 43, and the next one at 30, and everything, and you just lined them all up from 72 to 0, then you say, okay, there's 630 posts there, go to 315. How many pictures did number 315 have? It had 2. So basically, the key learning here is you should have at least 2 pictures in each post. And I'm going to tell you right now what one of those pictures should be. And that is the 5th learning. Notice there's lots about graphics here. Isn't that interesting? That what's happening is the graphic part stood out so tremendously that there's actually 3 of these posts, 4 of these points that are about graphics. Isn't that interesting? Graphics are what are making posts stand out and be frequently shared and become a highly popular post. So, number 5 is to add a meme image. Now, I hate this name meme image because that's not what it originally meant, but somehow it got taken over by this kind of image. A meme image is an image where there's a picture and there's words on top of it. So you see quotes all the time. Those are memes. Or these ones where it's a picture and then it's got the name, the headline for the article, for the blog post in it, and the name of the blog. So this right here gets picked up, and so it's not only attracting people because of the picture, but it's also drawing people to come to that particular post. And here's another one, 10 things I wish I knew when I started blogging. So in this one, we have a picture, and then notice how it's darker right here than it is right here. What they did is they put a box on top of it. They set the opacity of that box, or the transparency of it, to make it be flattened a bit more, and then they wrote the words on top of it so that you could read it better. These are all meme posts, and what my strong recommendation is that you start your blog at the very, very top of a blog post. You put your title, and then below that you put a meme image that describes what it is that describes your post. So when you look at these, 29% of all of those top ones had a meme image. So let me just ask you, what percentage of your blog posts have a meme image in them? Class participation time again. What percentage of your blog posts have a meme image in them? Okay? 0, only quotes, 0, 1%. Laura came through again at 65. Laura's got some things figured out. Good for you. 50%. All right. So what we're learning here is all of us need to do a better job on our pictures. All of us could get better results if we did a better job on our pictures. So let's go on and talk a little bit more about a meme image. So a meme image, here's an example. So here's someone who's got 20 ways to reuse, recycle, and repurpose your existing content. There's their blog's name. I strongly encourage that you do this. Here's a tip: collect content that sparks ideas. So on this particular blog post, they could have just put this picture, which is a pretty cool picture. It's a good picture. I like that picture. But what they've done is they've gone beyond that and put some text on it that give more information about this. So when someone is looking on Pinterest and they see just this picture, that's probably not going to get shared much on Pinterest or on Facebook or Instagram or any place else. But when they see this picture with this content around it, all of a sudden it's cool. And people want to repost that. And most importantly, what happens is when they come to a blog post that starts with a meme image like this, then they want to share that blog post with other people. Let me say that again. When you see a blog post that starts with a meme image like this, it naturally makes you more likely to share it with others. By the way, you can put more than one meme image on a blog post. Nothing says you have to only do one. It's just up to you in terms of time. Okay, so, but start thinking about how you can do this, because what happens when you do this is that you instantly communicate the message of your post and it begs to be shared, and when it gets shared, it's more likely to draw other people to come in and look at it afterwards. I will tell you, remember when I showed you right at the very beginning, I said that I'm going to show you one technique that almost no one is using, one element that almost nobody uses, that 10x's to 100x's your traffic. This is it, is create those meme images and start making it an important part of every blog post. In fact, I have seen data from my own blog posts that when I put a meme image versus the exact same picture without a meme image around it, that I get 10 to 100 times the traffic to that post long term, not just short term, but for months. And well, I've only been doing it for about 9 months, so I can't say even years, but I anticipate it's going to go on for even years by adding that. In fact, this is so important that I am going to recommend that you actually go back in some of your old blog content and add meme images to some of your old blog content. Now you say, but Don, I've got 300 posts. I don't have time to do that. Well, okay, in that case, what I would suggest you do is you go look at your analytics. I hope you're using analytics. That you look at your 5 most popular posts and go create a meme image for those 5. And then watch what happens to your traffic on those 5 posts. And what you're going to see is, very likely, it will spike. That traffic will spike. And then let that become a testimonial for you as to whether you ought to do it for more of your posts in the future. Recognize you don't have to do this yourself. Even though I'm going to show you a way that you can learn how to do this in PowerPoint, you can hire other people to do this for you, and they can do it. Plus, there are a lot of free tools out there that will enable you to do this in literally minutes. My favorite is Canva.com, Canva.com. And what that does is they're a site that You can put a picture, you can put text, you can put other images on top of it, you can do whatever you want to with that picture, and then so they've got a whole set of building blocks that are all free, and then they got another set of pictures that cost money. And so if you only use the free elements, it's free. If you want to use one of the pictures and you love that picture, it'll cost you $1 to put that picture in. But I strongly suggest that you use Canva, or another one is PicMonkey. So PicMonkey is a site that does similar kinds of things. So both Canva and PicMonkey have some monetization elements, but so they can make some money, but they also have free elements that I strongly suggest you start using on a regular basis every single time you write a blog post. So, and there's others. There's ribbet.com, RIBBET.com, and so then let's talk very specifically about how you do this. So your blog post, you put your headline at the top, then you put your meme image, then you start writing and you put your other images in as you go along. And then at the bottom, sometimes people will actually take their meme image and put it again at the bottom of their post. I have not finished my testing on that. I'm seeing directionally that it does help, but I can't say statistically at this point that it absolutely is a must to put it. But statistically, I'm starting to see indications that putting the same picture at the top and the bottom, or a different image at the bottom that's also a meme image, can help sharing and traffic. Okay, so and then once you've got that there, then what you do is, and notice this is Laura asking this question, the same person who is already doing this. She's saying, where do we share this? Well, you share it automatically. So you press post to post it, and then immediately go click on your own post and immediately post it to Pinterest, click on that own picture and immediately post to Facebook, click on it and immediately post it to Twitter, and then post it to Instagram. You'll have to go into your phone in Instagram and save that picture and then post it to Instagram, but you go do all of those things to instantly post them to your social media, so that two things happen. Number one, it starts grabbing traffic to you from social media, but it also makes your numbers be more than zero, so when someone comes to that post and they look at it and they say, oh look, other people are already sharing this, I should share it too. Okay? All right. Question is asked, how can you know when your website is too full to handle pictures? Don't worry about it. Just keep putting pictures on there. Eventually your host may come back to you and say, hey, you've used up your space, but the vast majority of sites now allow you to use unlimited amount of space, and so don't even worry about that. At some point, if you get too many, then upgrade your plan. So just put things up and let them happen. And don't worry about bandwidth and those issues. Those kinds of things just automatically happen. It's not a worry. All right, so I need to ask a question. How are we doing? Scale of 1 to 10. Rate this presentation so far. How am I doing, with 10 being excellent? Where am I? I just want to make sure that I'm giving content that fills your needs. Okay, I got 11, 10, 10, 8. What did I do? Okay, so Matt, I need you to give me an answer real quick. Tell me what I need to do differently so that I can become better in the remainder of this. 10, 10. My head hurts. 11, 10 plus 10, 10 plus. Okay, so I'm doing really well, except Matt's got an issue with what I'm saying. So give me some more information so that I can make sure that I can do better in the remainder of our time together. Okay, so I'm really working hard here to give you practical steps instead of just giving just information, because that's the way I do my webinars. I'm not one of these guys who just throws out a few generic things and says you should do this and then buy this product so you can do it. I'm showing you how you can start doing this without buying anything, how you can get started. Now, later on, I'm going to show you something you can buy, and I really strongly feel that you should buy it, but I want to make sure your time is worth it together. Okay? All right. So let's go on. So I'm doing pretty well. I need to do a little bit better, I can tell. Okay, so give me a second. I'll do better. I'll do better. So number 6 is I group this together as format your blog wisely. Now, I struggled a little bit because there's a whole bunch of little inputs that came from this that I couldn't figure out how to easily communicate without doing a 3-hour blog. So I bunched a bunch of them into this format your blog wisely. So let me just dump some things on you really quick. So the first thing is, and these are all things you can do just by making some settings and thinking about it as you make your posts. So the first one is put social link bar above the fold. So as you go out and look at people's blogs, many of them have a social link bar built into them at this point, and that's great. And you want to have that happening, because what ends up, what that creates is people are easily able to see it and link from there. So here's the key. Make sure you put them above the fold, because what I found was a number of these blogs that didn't make it into the top had social link bars at the bottom. And I kept saying, why? Why would you ever want to put a link bar at the bottom and not at the top? Now, I can definitely recommend that you put them at the bottom, but I want you to put them at the top too. So you need to have them above the fold. All right. Second thing is to use subheads. Now, I'm going to take you back to your high school English class and think about the concept of headings versus subheads. So these are subheads. Okay, so there are things that as people go down, it catches their eye and makes them know that this next paragraph is about naming your files, this next section is about file settings, next one is about image sizing. And what you find as you look at this is that when you just have text, normal text like this, it's harder, it doesn't jump out, and it's harder to absorb the information, because remember, people don't read the web, people skim the web. So as they're skimming the web, it's easier for them to identify what areas they want to pay attention to when they have lots of headers in that process. So strongly suggest you use subheads. 82.3% of all those posts did. Now, Matt just pointed out sometimes my numbers don't add up to 100. Well, the reason why is because some of those, back to that very first graph, things could be classified in more than one category. Okay? All right. But here's the key. A subhead, using a large subhead is better than using a regular one. So they could have done this in the exact same font size. This is probably 11 or 12 point. That helpful tips and tricks could have been in that 11.2, but they took that up. That's probably 14 point, and so it stands out more. Use large subheads. 77% of them had large subheads, and 22.6% of them had different colored subheads, which makes them stand out even more. Now, this next one goes directly against what many people believe from a search engine optimization point, which is that most of these points, had links in the posts. And a lot of people think, oh, you should never put a link in a post because it takes your traffic and it goes out to other places. Well, look at this. Here's just an example. These are all links to posts that are there in the post to take you to other places. Now, some of those links could be links within your site. Some of them could be links to other places outside your site. The important thing is, in any given post, you will oftentimes mention things that you covered in additional levels of specificity. Wow. Apparently I don't say that word very well. Specificity, or other people have handled well, and so share. That's the core of blogging. It's the core of social media. People can tell when you're thinking just for yourself. But when you think with an abundance mentality and you're willing to share with other people, what ends up happening is people can sense that, and they're more willing to share your stuff with other people, because they say, hey, this person is a good sharing person. I want to share it with other people too. All right, so those are some formatting things. Use those social links above the fold. Use large colored subheads and add links into the posts. And don't worry about what those links might do. Oh, I'm sending people to someone else's site. So what? If they like you, they're going to come back to you. Right, next. And this one actually goes a little bit against some common sense too. Some people say, well, Don, I have to be careful. I don't want to request action too much. I don't want to ask people to buy something. And I say, well, why not? I mean, you're not doing this for your health. You ought to be asking people to share it, to comment, to buy stuff. That's why you're doing all of this. And one of the things I've learned in 20 years of working on the web is that people tend to do what you ask them to do, and more importantly, people tend to not do what you don't ask them to do. That's the very vital learning here, is if you don't ask them to do something, they're probably not going to do it. And so I encourage you to be more aggressive in asking for action. So let me just show you. So 43% of them asked somewhere a question that then drove to an action. Do you like this post? Share it with your friends. Do you agree with what I said? Give me a comment below. What's your, how do you handle this situation? Tell me about it in a comment below. Those are all questions driving to action. That's a requesting action. Another one is requesting an opt-in at the end of a post. So one of the most powerful ways to build a mailing list is to have a box at the end of every post that asks people to opt in. That's an incredibly powerful means of building a list, but it becomes even more powerful when you put a post-oriented opt-in at the end of a post. So let me describe what that is. So let's say that you're on my site and I am doing something on how to get more people to like your posts on Facebook. So when they get down to the bottom of that post, I can put two different kinds of opt-ins. I can put an opt-in that says, learn how to build your business with social media, get this free report, and that's a opt-in, it's a generic opt-in, or I can put learn 6 ways to get more people to like your posts. So it is specifically addressing what that particular blog post talked about. I'll give you another example. You're talking about the importance of exercise. At the bottom of that you put 6 exercises that will keep the cardiologist off your case, whatever it is. And so these specific things that give people a very specific opt-in incentive that ties into the subject of that blog post get significantly higher, like 10 times the percentage of opt-ins. Now the challenge is it takes work to do multiple different opt-in incentives. And so most of us aren't going to have one for every single blog post that we do. But I recommend that you go ahead and over time, not necessarily today, don't get overwhelmed by this, develop like 10 different opt-in incentives. And then rotate those through using the ones that apply most to a particular blog post at the end of that, so that you can take advantage of this without having to create new ones every single time. Okay, so you're creating a call to action to go after the content that takes them logically from the content they're on into something that they will want that gives them more information on that particular subject. And next is 34% of these actually had a sales ad to buy their own product at the end of their post. So you got to the end of the post, so it's a post about how to get more people to like you on Facebook. The end of it, you have your building your business with Facebook product that they can buy, an ad sitting right there. So when they click on that, it takes them to a sales page to buy your how to build your business on Facebook line. And so recognize so some people say, well, I can't ask people to buy something on my post because that'll cause them to get upset and they won't follow me and they won't do everything. Well, remember, this is from the 630 most frequently shared posts. 34% of them had an ad to buy something at the end. So the important part here is this: don't get shy at asking people to help you. Don't get shy about asking people to help themselves by getting your free stuff or your paid stuff to help themselves. Remember the adage that I gave you earlier. People don't do what you don't ask them to do. Start asking. Don't be shy. All right, number 7. Oh, I'm sorry. Forgot about the popovers. 14.5% of them had a popover that asked people to either buy something, to like something, or to opt into their site. Now, this number is low because most popovers you set a cookie. So a popover is like a pop-up. Remember the old pop-up days? Well, a popover is that same thing. You see them all the time. Something will come up and say, hey, do you want to opt into my list in one way or another? A popover is what makes that happen, where it appears on top of your screen, blocks out the other stuff. That's called a popover. And most popovers set a cookie so that you don't see that on every single page that you look at. And so I didn't go clear my cookies on every one of those, so I probably would have had a significantly higher number because I didn't clear my cookies than if I would have been clearing my cookies. So I'm sure that popover number was probably around the 45% of all of them. So again, don't feel afraid to put your popovers in. Number 7, use post titles to drive clicks. So remember I talked about the meme images. That's the most powerful piece. The second most powerful piece is what you have in your post title. Now here we're going to go again against your English teacher. So what your English teacher told you in high school is not the way you should title blog posts. So first off, what we've discovered is that 33% of all those top posts offered a numbered list as part of their title. So they were saying something like 12 tips to boost email click-through, and these are actual titles from that list. 3 steps to a website that converts in 5 seconds or less. 50 plus Google Analytics resources. 11 I'm having trouble with tips. 11 Twitter tips and tricks that don't actually work. So putting a number in that title has real magic in it. So the story is told that when Mozart's parents wanted to get him out of bed in the morning, they would go down and they would play a scale on the piano, but they would leave out the last note, which bugged Mozart as a little kid so much he would run downstairs and play the last note. So there's a thing in your mind that demands closure. So if you just say tips to boost email click-through, people look at it and go, okay. But if you say 12 tips, they want to know all 12. And if you only give them 11, they're probably going to write you a note that said, hey, you promised 12 and you only gave me 11, because the mind demands closure. I believe that's the reason why numbered lists work in a headline. And they have such a more powerful draw than not putting a numbered list, a number in that headline. Strongly suggest you use numbered lists. So your English teacher probably told you not to do that. Well, guess what? Your English teacher also probably told you not to add irresistible elements, words that make it foolish not to click. So let me just show you some of those. So here's one. 7 types of landing pages that will make your website visitors stick like flypaper. Now your English teacher would have come back and crossed out like flypaper from that, and probably would have said awkward, AWK. My favorite, that was the most frequently received comment that I received on my high school English paper was AWK, awkward, and they probably would have said, you should renumber this, maybe landing pages, I don't know how to do it, you figure it out, is what your English teacher would have said. This is a great headline, this gets traffic. 7 types of landing pages that will make your website's visitors stick like flypaper. Here's another irresistible element. 53 freelancing mistakes that are costing you clients, cash, and credibility. Your English teacher would have probably said, just put 53 freelancing mistakes. Or maybe just freelancing mistakes you shouldn't make. But no, this one became irresistible. It makes you've got to go read this because it's costing me clients, cash, and credibility. Here's another one. Facebook doesn't suck, your strategy and attitude does. Okay, your English teacher would have crossed out suck, put in something else, and never accused somebody. So, you know what? Your English teacher's probably dead by now anyway. Don't worry about it. And he or she never made any money on the web. That's what you're trying to do. I'm going to show you another concept, and that is to use powerful title words. I discovered a new word that I had not discovered before in this analysis. It came out and it jumped out at me, and I went, wow, there's an astonishing number of sites that are using that word in a blog post title, and I've never used that word. And that word I'm going to share with you is scientific. So, scientific proof that opt-in boxes at the end of a blog post work. Whatever. I don't write copy really well on webinars, but that kind of using scientific in your title was there in a far bigger percentage of those 630 than I ever thought it would, and now it's on my list of things to name things. And now, obviously, you won't want to make every single post contain the word scientific in its headline, but you may want to add it to a few. Here's another one. Any type of statistics add to the value of that blog post. 16% of TV's audience is using social media at the same time. How to increase your Google Plus engagement by 281%. You look at it and you go, okay, not 280, 281. All right, I'm interested. I'll go look at that. So statistics are very powerful title words. Now, one other thing. I'm going to ask you, what do you think, class participation time again, what is the most important phrase that you can put into a title if you want to get people to read it and share it? The most important phrase you can put in a title if you want people to read it and share it. Okay, I've got you, secret, how to, learn to, free. Okay, so a lot of people talk about making things you and the power of the word free, but I am going to show you the word that I believe is the single most important word to put into a title, how to. Good job, Elizabeth. Good job, Cheryl. You did great. How to is a powerful, powerful phrase because it says this article is going to help me. And as soon as you see that, you are more likely to read it, and your attitude shifts in a positive way, making you more likely to share it later on. All right, number 8. This one right here is a powerful, powerful learning from this whole thing. I wanted to save it to the last because you tend to remember the first and the last. And so I wanted to make sure that the first thing that you learned was make sure you add value. Give them how-to and explanation. Give them information that will change. The last one I left at the end because you remember the first and the last, and that is make sure that you're writing about the hot topics. Remember what I told you that I was working on a project to identify those hot topics so that I can write about those in my online blog? And what I wanted to do and what I do is that I focus on writing content my marketplace has already told me it's interested in reading. So, as I said, I would far rather write a blog post that'll get seen 500, 5,000, 500,000 times a week than one that'll be seen 5 times. And so I am going to go choose specifically topics that I have proven in my topic area that people are willing to share. That's why I did the analysis in the very beginning, where I went through and I said, okay, what topics are most frequently being shared? And so here's this list from the online marketing world. So 3 ways to use Google Plus to increase search engine rankings was shared 7,372 times. 26 creative ways brands use Facebook status updates was shared 7,472 times. Most blog posts don't even get 7,472 visitors, much less shares. How to encourage Google Plus fans to share your content, 6,494. The bottom one, SEO is dead, 5,286. 5 ways to use Twitter scheduling to enhance your marketing, 5,650. This list right here is gold to me. By looking at this, I then understand what I should be writing about. And it teaches me, and I want to ask you a question, and I'd like you to get your answer on this. How much traffic and how much more profit would you make if you had a way of knowing in advance this list for your particular marketplace? What content is most likely to be shared and linked to? If I was able to show you how to get this data in literally a matter of minutes, how much more traffic and profit do you think you would make as a result of that? Class participation time. Much more. Wow. Loads. Yeah. 100% exponential. Way more than I'm making right now. And so that what you're doing here is that you're only creating content that you know in advance is going to be successful. That right there is one of the single most powerful things that I want you to get out of this webinar, is you should be posting stuff that is popular stuff. And I'm going to show you how to go about doing that in just a moment. Now I'm going to show you something else. How would you like it if you had a list like this that at any moment in time showed you the most recent post in your category and what they were posting about, so that you were able to identify what's hot right now? So let's go back a ways in time. So remember the ALS thing where people were pouring buckets of ice water upon themselves and they were donating to ALS research as they did that? So if you remember, when it very, very first started, a few people did videos and those things, and they didn't get very picked up. And then a couple of famous people did it. The Kennedy family did it at a family reunion, and Grandma Kennedy poured it upon themselves. Then a couple of movie stars started doing it. And all of a sudden, these videos of people pouring ice water on themselves were getting millions of views at a time. And that lasted for about 3 days with millions of views, and everyone was talking about it, and it became a meme that went throughout the internet, and everybody was talking about it and shared it. And then it wore off fairly quickly, and other people were still doing it, and people today still post things, and they get no pickup whatsoever. Well, that's what happens sometimes with this hot content, is that it's got a life of about 72 hours, and if you don't get into it during that life of 72 hours, you miss the entire thing. Well, this list right here, if I could show you how you can get that list and automatically create it for free and have this update literally, you know, here's one that was posted 0 minutes ago, here's one posted 2 minutes ago, another one 2 minutes ago, another one 6 minutes. So you can at any point go scan this and see what's happening in your particular niche. Would that be valuable to you? Could you think about how much more traffic you could get if you had an way to automatically know the hottest topics, the memes, and post in your category, and how much more money you're going to make from that, so that you can literally jump in while it's hot? So basically what I've been doing is I've taken those 2 principles, the what is being most frequently shared in my marketplace, and this one which shows me what is hot in my marketplace right this minute, and I am using those today to literally flip the content world upside down. So I'm doing things exactly the opposite of the way that I used to do it. So what I used to do was I would create content and then hope that people would like it. Now I do exactly the opposite. I already know what's going to work. I already know what people are sharing, what people are linking to, what people find popular, and I already know what's hot right now, and those are the posts that I am posting about. And so I publish that content, virtually guaranteeing my success. That's what I want you to be doing. So the number one most important factor is publishing content that people actually want. And when you start doing this, you get huge increases in traffic and sales. And what I've discovered that there are actually 4 systems that you should be putting in place to create huge traffic. And I've built 4 content-based systems to allow that for my sites, and I want to share them with you too, because these are the exact same 4 systems that you need to have to build huge traffic to your own blog. Would you like to know what those 4 systems are so that you can use them in your own blog too? Okay, it appears you would like to know those things. All right, number 1, set up a system that automatically tracks all the hot topics in your category. So that system is what looks like this, showing you automatically what's happening in your particular category at any point in time so that you know what is hot. Number 2, set up a system to identify in advance which content is most likely to be shared. That's this list here, so that you know what's most likely to get shared, and then you spend some time going through that and pulling out the commonalities, and that's what you're posting. So those 2 systems are the first 2 systems. So you're automatically tracking all the hot content, and you've identified what is most frequently going to be shared. Now we take that, so that helps you identify what you should be posting. Now our next system is a system to quickly and easily plan, create, and publish your powerful content. So here's the way most people blog. They wake up in the morning and they say, okay, what am I going to blog about today? I've got half an hour before the kids are up and ready to go to school. I got to get this blog post done today. What should I blog about? I'm not sure. I can't think of anything. Oh, so you go start surfing around and you get caught up in somebody's conversation on Pinterest. And then you find something on Facebook, and you start playing your game, and the half an hour is blown, the kids are up, you got to be on deck getting them off to school, and you never got your blog post written that day. So what I'm saying is you need a system that cuts the time and the energy out of the creation process, that puts it at your best writing time and method so that you are able to create great content on a regular basis. And then system number 4, and this is the piece that almost nobody does. Well, they don't do 1, and they don't do 2, and they don't do 4. Sometimes they do 3. So 3 of these systems are things that almost nobody does, and that number 4 is, if you want your content to get shared out there, you've got to promote your content in the world, driving traffic, sharing, and SEO. So there's a system that I developed that actually you do this step, this step, this step, this step, and it takes about 7 minutes per post to get that post out so that other people are getting contact with it and they are seeing it themselves and sharing it themselves. When you get these 4 systems working in your Bishop, it gives you a huge competitive advantage because your competition is not doing this stuff. So you start doing it, you've got that huge competitive advantage that then builds upon itself every time you publish something new. Because what happens is when someone comes and sees your blog post A and they're on your blog and they see something over on the side that says, hey, you want to look at blog post B, they then go to blog post B, and then that one gets popular and they start sharing blog post A and B, and what ends up happening is every new person you get to come to your blog becomes another one of your advocates, and very soon you've got this massive snowball rolling down the hill, eating everything in front of it, and become an incredible powerful force that it can even do things like hit a house and blow it up, or hit a train and knock it off its track. And I'm getting a little excited because what I've discovered here is you don't need millions of visitors to live your dream life. You actually only need a fraction of that, and that's what this system is designed to do, is to give you that fraction of it. And I'm going to show you the number that I believe is the number that every one of you should be shooting for, and is actually my goal for you. You didn't know that I set goals for you. But if I'm doing my job correctly, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to help you get 100,000 visitors per month to your site. So that's my goal, is to give you information like I gave you today and like I'm going to be telling you about in a minute to help you get to 100,000 unique visitors per month. And here's the beautiful thing, is that if you do it correctly and you follow the systems, translates into $100,000 a year in income. So it's interesting that those two numbers match. So if you really only need $30,000 a year in income, okay, let's get your traffic to 30,000 unique visitors per month. If you want 1 million, what does that mean you need to have your traffic be? About 1 million visitors per month will translate into about $1 million in annual income. Now, this is a rule of thumb. It's not an absolute promise. You've got to do things right. You've got to follow the systems. But when you do this and you get that huge number of people coming to your site, you've got a whole nother set of problems and monetization opportunities that you don't have right now. Because I'm assuming that most of you on this call don't have 100,000 unique visitors per month. So that right there, so you can just look at it. I mean, 100,000 translates into 100,000. So if you get 900 visitors a month, that means you're going to make about $900 a year in income, unless you fix that traffic problem. You can just look at this and it'll tell you how much you should be making during the year. If $900 a year is not acceptable to you, then you probably need to be following systems to build your traffic so you get to higher traffic numbers. These 4 key systems are exactly what does that. And these 4 key systems are what I have combined into a program called the Content Max system. So the Content Max system shows you how to set up and run those same 4 systems for your business, so that as you run these, you can get credibility in the marketplace, you can get the traffic you need, you get the sales you need, and you do it all in less time, so you're able to actually live your dream life, loving the people around you, serving the people around you, and making a real impact upon the world. So these 4 systems, and as you start implementing, you start getting those hot topics, you start writing the stuff that people want to share, you're doing it in a fraction of the time, and you're promoting each post so they're going out. And so what I would like to do is to give you a special offer at this time. The Content Max system sells for $497. But because you came and are attending this webinar, I'm going to give you a special price of $197, or 3 payments of $87. That, I worked hard to make that affordable. Plus, I'm going to give you 3 huge bonuses to make this work for you. So the first one is, as you start doing this, you're going to start realizing that eventually your time runs out, and you're going to start realizing that, hey, if I got 100,000 visitors right now, I'm making $100,000, and I want to get to 1 million, I'm not going to do that by myself, and so I need to build an outsourced team to start creating some of that content, start creating some of that traffic for me, so that I get to those goals. And so I teach you very specifically as a bonus how to build and outsource a content creation team. I've had one for 12 years. It has meant a huge amount of my profit and the capability to handle 18 different blogs updating every single day. Second huge bonus. Now, content curation means you're using other people's content to build your blog. Now, this is not stealing. I teach you a way, and by the way, this is not actually part of the Content Max system. You can do everything in the Content Max system without ever curating anyone else's content. But if you use content curation system properly, you can amplify and get additional leverage on everything you're doing on the Content Max system. And so I teach you the content curation system, which is basically building on other people's content so that you can be able to apply those in your blog. Very, very powerful. I don't know anyone who's at $1 million who's not using these strategies, but incredibly powerful once you start using them. Third bonus. I am doing an event in November in Arizona. It is going to be called the Online Profit Summit. It will be November 20th through 22nd, and I would like to give you a free ticket to that conference. Let me say that again. I'd like to give you a free ticket to that live conference. That's going to be 3 days of me on stage spilling my guts, telling you everything I can, trying to cram everything I can into your mind and your business to help you build your business. Now, let me just restate that. I'm not going to, I will overwhelm you, but I'm not going to, it's not my mission to way overwhelm you. What I'm going to do is very carefully choose those elements that have the highest probability of building your profits. That's what this is about. There are 5 key principles that we're going to be working on there, and you're going to walk out with some amazing information and goals and plans to build your business in the future. I'll be announcing this formally in the next couple of days. You'll want to make sure you pay attention to that as a buyer for this, because you're going to get this for free as a buyer. So here's what you get. You get the 4 systems, the core elements that enable you to be able to build your business online. Then in addition to that, you get how to outsource, your content creation strategies, and a free ticket to my live event. But there's something else. The Content Max shows you how to get traffic, but it doesn't show you how to monetize that traffic. And as I worked on the Content Max system, I got all done with it, and I started getting comments from people. It's like, well, Don, you haven't shown us how to monetize that traffic. And so I put together a second program called Monetize Your Blog. You can get either one of these. So Monetize Your Blog talks about the 5 ways to monetize your blog. Now, here's the key. There are 5 ways to monetize your blog. And if you're not using every one of them, I guarantee you're leaving serious money on the table. So you can't just be doing advertising. If all you're doing is advertising and sponsor posts, those kinds of things, you're leaving huge money on the table. I teach you all 5 of those methods and teach you how to integrate them so that you're able to, again, leverage your work to get more and more cash out of your blog on the other end. So in it, you're going to discover 4 things. Amazing how this works. Core takeaway 1 is the core of monetization, the key to serious profits. Until you get this, you'll never make serious money online. And once you get this, the ceiling doesn't apply to you. But you got to get this. That's the reason I start with this, because it's so important. And I bet you if you went to the #1 blogging convention in the world and you asked 1,000 attendees, what's the core of monetization, 3 of them would get this. They just don't understand it. That's the reason why you need to understand it. Because remember, I've worked on both sides of this equation, and I continue to work on both sides. I am both a person who creates content and monetizes it, and I'm a person who monetizes other people's content by running ads and sponsor posts and those kinds of things on other people's content. So because I have that unique position of being on both sides of the fence, I know what to do to appeal to people who are going to give you money. So core takeaway number 2 is the 5 most profitable and successful ways to monetize your blog. As I told you, you need to be using all 5 of them to optimize your results. Number 3, because advertising is one of those, I'm going to show you the one key thing that will cause advertisers to beg you for ad space. This is one of the things when I'm going out to advertise in other people's blogs, I'm looking for this thing. And if I can find it, I will give them money hand over fist. If I can't find it, I'm reluctant to give them any money at all. Number 4, the one technique that will give you guaranteed monthly income. Whoa. So I get a check every month on the 1st of the month for several $1,000s? Yeah. In fact, you can get multiple checks on the first of every month for multiple $1,000. Guaranteed, contractual. In fact, what I actually recommend is not that you get a check, but you hit their credit card for several $1,000s on the first of each month. It's really nice when you're getting in $20,000 a month on the first of every month without having to do anything. Okay? I show you how to do that. And of course, I wanted to throw in a special bonus. So I, not long ago, was having an interview with a friend of mine. He asked me not to reveal his name at this point. You will hear his name in the interview, in the bonus. But as we were talking, he gets multiple $1,000s every single month from companies who want access to this audience that he's built through his blog. And his blog has nothing to do with online marketing. It's a niche that every one of you participates in almost every single day. And he has these companies coming and begging him to take their money. And it's something that I've never seen done anywhere else before. And so I said, hey, can I record this and share it with my people? And so he agreed to let me do that. So I recorded it, and this recording will just knock your socks off. And the reason why is it's going to give you a technique you've never thought of before, and on top of that, it's going to show you how to think about the process of monetization in different ways so that you can come up with other ways to monetize your content so that you can make more in the future. So here's what you get. You get the 5 most powerful blog monetization techniques. You get how to generate a guaranteed income every month for the rest of your career. You get the bonus of the Mr. X interview, and you get it all for just $197 or 3 payments of $87. So you can make your choice. You can get Content Max for $197, or you can get Monetize Your Blog. But how about if I throw out an even special deal to you? So Content Max, $497 value, plus Monetize Your Blog, $497. So that's a $994 value, plus all the bonuses that come with each one of those. How about if I give that to you for 1 payment of $294 or 3 payments of $119? If you're interested in that, go right now to DonCrowther.com/special content deal. DonCrowther.com/special content deal. What this does is it saves you $294 from $994. It saves you $700. And by the way, all this applies only for the next 72 hours, and then it's gone. Let me just type this in. Okay, so by getting this now, if you wait past 72 hours, it'll cost you $994 to get these. That's how serious I am about this. I want you to build your profits. And so the other thing I'm going to do is you get all the bonuses that are attached with each one of those. So that includes the free ticket to my live event. On top of that, I'd like to throw in a bonus if you do these two together, the $294. So remember I told you about this list of the top most frequently shared posts in the social media world? Well, I think that that could be valuable for some of you, because even though you may not participate in it in this particular area, it might be valuable for you to know what those areas are. And so I'm going to give you that complete list, saving you all the time and effort. Now, by the way, one of the key things that I show you in this is that I show you all the software and give you free access to the software that you need to create that list right there. And I give you free access to the software that you need to create the list of what's happening in your marketplace right now. That's part of this. That's part of those first 2 systems. So that you can be in a few minutes be able to generate the list you need for your particular area. And so, but this, I'm giving you that complete list. But you have to invest in the Monetize Your Blog plus the Content Max bundle in those next 72 hours, okay? Plus, I'm going to give you something else. That is, remember when I told you that I was going to show you how to create content, how to create visual content using PowerPoint? So like images and memes and infographics using PowerPoint? I'm going to do that for you. That's a special bonus. I'm going to offer it as a pay webinar very soon to my general audience. You'll get in for free if you invest in Content Max plus Monetize Your Blog bundle in those next 72 hours. All right, so here's what you get. You get Content Max System, $497, plus you get the Monetize Your Blog, another $497. That's a $994 value, plus all the bonuses that come with that, plus the additional bonuses of the list for online marketing, the top posts, plus I'll let you come and learn how to easily and quickly create images, memes, and infographics using PowerPoint. Amazing value, all that for $294 or 3 payments of $119 by going to DonCrowther.com/special content deal. Now, some people only want one or the other of those. That's fine. You'll have the ability to buy them for $197 or 87, 3 payments of $87 there and do that. But you'll need to, by going to that site, that gives you the ability to buy what you need from that. We are out of time. And so I'm going to call this webinar a wrap. But I want to make a couple of points as I do that. The first one is I have learned that there is a huge difference between people who take action and people who think about things long term. I've discovered that people who take action on something like this deal are the people who take action on implementing these things. One of the saddest things in my career is that I work really hard to put together incredible content and offer it to you at very reasonable prices. And then people get it and they never watch a single video. And I go, what? Why? Now, I admit I have a couple of courses that still have shrink wrap on them. I totally agree that those things happen in life. But the people who take action in life are the people who get results in life. And the people who hold back and say, oh, I'm not sure if I can spend that money or whatever, and that's very real. I know, because I have many times where I say, I'm not sure if I can spend that money myself. But I've discovered when I take action and I go immediately in and start absorbing the material that is there and keeping lists and doing the things that are taught, I make more money. And though this world is not all about making more money, it's a big piece of being able to have the freedom to do the things that you want and need to do. And so I've discovered that I want to be in a business where I help other people. And this is my mission, is giving you great content like I did in this webinar. By the way, how do we do? Scale 1 to 10. How did we do on this particular webinar? Okay, I'm specifically interested in the guy who gave me an 8 before. Got to see where his score comes in. Oh, I got up to a 9.5. Okay, excellent. Very good. Oh, no, my person who, okay, I got increased to 10 from the person who was before. Okay, outstanding. Sounds like I did a pretty good job. And so if you want this level, because remember, what I've given you here is a fraction of the good stuff. The good stuff was held back for the paid product. Come join us. Come be part of my world, where I work from my extra bedroom in my house. I take time off when I want and need to, and I do it all in about 30 hours a week so that I have time to have a real life outside of my work. This is Don Crowther saying, come join us and just go do this stuff. Bye, everybody.